Hi, everybody. Welcome to TCM. I'm Ben Mankiewicz. We're talking about journalism movies all month, and joining me now, a man who I suspect needs no introduction, Anderson Cooper, CNN.
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks for hosting me in your studio, too. I appreciate that.
It's an honor to do it. I love movies. So.
We got an interesting selection of movies tonight, beginning with a movie that shows some real television journalism, which doesn't always happen. The China Syndrome from 1979, Jane Fonda, Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, such a treat to be able to watch this movie again. I mean, I remember seeing it when it first came out. And the incredible thing, of course, is when it came out, it was, I think, 2 weeks later, there was the 3 Mile Island disaster.
Like 12 days later.
Yeah, or the incident at 3 Mile Island wasn't necessarily a disaster. And they stopped doing promotion for the film, but that was its own promotion.
Well, and again, television news played a role. I mean, almost every piece of television news coverage about what was happening at 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania included scenes from this
China Syndrome.
From the China Syndrome.
I also love the way this movie begins, which it begins in a control room. You just see Jane Fonda getting ready for a live shot, and it has a real kind of element of reality to it. I mean, she's fixing her hair, she's trying to figure out the live shot. The cameraman's in the bathroom, and then I'm not going to say what happens at the end, but it returns to a similar scene at the end, and I love kind of the lens through which it's looked at.
You know, I started my career in television, in television news. I was trained as a journalist, and there are very few things that movies get more wrong in general.
That is definitely
than television news.
Yes. And Jack Lemmon, I thought was great. You know, I think a lot of people in this generation have kind of forgotten Jack Lemmon, which is he was actually a good friend of my mom's. He and his wife Felicia, and so I grew up with him. I mean, and grew up admiring him certainly, and it was just great to see him again.
What kind of a guy was he to have sort of around the house?
He was lovely. I mean, I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and couldn't have been nicer to kids. My mom, both my parents believe very much in like having us at the table. There was never like a children's table. So, we were involved in the discussions, and he was interested in kids, and Felicia Lemmon was lovely as well. And I knew some of his work from The Odd Couple when I was a kid, but I remember when China Syndrome came out and seeing that in theaters, and it's a really fun movie to watch.
He'd been an activist too, a sort of an anti-nuclear activist.
That's right.
So when Redford passed on it,
right? A number of actors turned down the role.
Yeah, and then but he was like, I'm in. Terrific. Yeah.
And to me, it comes out of the whole kind of post-Nixon suspicion of government, suspicion of the people who run the network, that they're secretly in cahoots with the powers that be. So it really kind of, to me, is very much a time capsule of that time.
Remind people who your mother is.
Yeah, my mom is Gloria Vanderbilt, so she was great friends with Jack and Felicia Lemmon, and also Walter and Carol Matthau, and so they were sort of a group that were around a lot.
Were there a fair amount of movie people circulating in your world?
Yes, and my mom also, when she was 17, she was she'd been involved in this terrible custody case as a child, and she moved out. She didn't want to complete high school, and she wanted to get away from her aunt in New York, so she moved in with her mother in Beverly Hills, and her mother let her do anything, and what my mom wanted to do was to date movie stars. And she did.
She made that happen?
She made that happen.
And I know your father died very young, but he was a screenwriter.
He was a screenwriter. He wrote a movie called The Chapman Report.
Chapman Report, yeah.
Wrote a couple
of other things. Like a take on the Kinsey Report.
Yes, right, yeah. He wrote some stuff, I think, with Truman Capote, and...
what was his name?
Wyatt Cooper. He was also acted in sort of theater, and he has a walk-on in a movie with Mario Lanza called The Seven Hills of Rome. And he's just literally a walk-on part in Rome.
All right, Anderson, thanks very much. Let's watch the movie. Here it is from 1979, Jane Fonda, Jack Lemmon, and Michael Douglas, co-written and directed by James Bridges, The China Syndrome.